Flag on the hit by Derwin James, who just laid out Ashley.
Got hit hard by Alontae Taylor. Oh, what a hit.
Oh, bone-crushing, devastating, earth-shattering. That's the only way to describe the hits dished out by the hardest hitters in NFL history. These tough dudes bring the pain every single day, leaving opponents shaking in their cleats. And in today's video, we're going to be counting down the top 10 hardest hitters that the league has ever seen. From vicious tacklers to big hit specialists to modern-day wrecking balls, these guys annihilated anyone brave enough to cross their path. If you loved old school violent football, then this video is right up your alley. Number 10, Cam Chancellor. So guess who's holding it down to the number 10 spot? It's none other than Cam Chancellor, aka Bam Bam Cam. This dude was a beast in the Legion of Boom back in Seattle, and his whole vibe was just about laying down those killer hits, one right after the other. Standing tall at 6'3" and packing 225 pounds of pure muscle, he basically played safety like a linebacker. This meant that he could charge down and deliver some serious blows to unsuspecting running backs, as well as receivers cruising through the middle. Cam was a highlight reel full of massive collisions that forced fumbles left and right or left opponents slow to get back on their feet. He was the guy who made receivers second guess crossing that middle territory. Just ask Vernon Davis. Cam almost sent him to another dimension with a huge hit over the middle. Unfortunately, neck injuries cut Cam's career short, but he definitely left his mark on the NFL as one of the fiercest hitters of all time. Number 9, James Harrison. Coming in hot at number 9 is James Harrison, the Steelers legend who was basically a walking wrecking ball. The guy had this mean scowl and stood at a solid 6 foot even, weighing in at a hefty 242 pounds. Man, talk about built to dish out some serious punishment. He wasn't avoiding contact. In fact, it seems that he got a kick out of laying the smack down on opponents. Now, as the game would end up changing and evolving with new rules to protect players, Harrison got tagged as a bit of a dirty player later in his career, but rewind when he first hit the scene, many of his hits were fair game and no questions were ever asked. Adapting to the new rules was really not the easiest of tasks, but you have to give the man props for trying. Let me tell you though, in his prime, James Harrison was the defender you'd rather not mess around with, especially if you were thinking about moving across the middle. Just ask Muhammad Masaki. Harrison knocked that guy out cold. Man was a total beast, no doubt about it. Number 8, Steve Atwater. Alrighty, moving on up to number 8, we got Steve Atwater, the ex-Denver Broncos safety, aka the Smiling Assassin. Why? Because he'd flash that big grin right after straight up demolishing folks on the field. This guy was 6'3" and 218 pounds, basically playing like an extra linebacker, owning the box and bringing the pain. Now, let me hit you with the highlight here. Atwater versus Chiefs running back Christian Okoye, who was one of the biggest and strongest backs in the league. Atwater met Okoye head on in the hole and completely stood him up, which no one had ever done before. Okoye, who was one of the biggest boys in the league, got a reality check, but Atwater wasn't just about those head-hunting hits. He racked up well over 1,000 tackles and was a key player in the Denver snagging back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Number 7, Jack Tatum. Alrighty, now on to number 7, we got Raiders safety Jack Tatum, aka the Assassin. This guy was all about bringing the scare factor and had a real knack for sending players to another dimension. Head-to-head hits and clothesline tackles were his go-to moves, and he went so hard that both got the boot from the game. But here's the real talk. Tatum's hits weren't just your regular hard-hitting stuff. One of them was straight up paralyze wide receiver Darryl Stingley and put the brakes on his career. That hit was like a flashing neon sign, telling everyone how much power Tatum brought to the table every single game. Safety? Nah, he had zero chill when it came to player safety. His only mission was wiping out anybody in his path. The NFL actually had to shut down many of his wild moves, but back in the day, Jack Tatum earned his stripes as one of the most feared hitters ever. Number 6, Dick Lane. Then in our number 6 spot, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Dick the Night Train Lane. We're talking the 50s, 60s football here, where it was pretty much free for all on the field. Rules? Nah, not really. And Night Train was one of the rare guys that took advantage of that, dishing out some serious no-holds-bar punishment. I mean, we're talking clothesline hits, face mask grabs, and straight-up headhunting, which was just all in a day's work for Lane. This guy had a thing for going after receivers' heads, laying down those head-on hits like it was going out of style. They called him Night Train due to the fact that crossing paths with him felt like getting smacked by a whole train. He was so lethal that the NFL actually had to drop the hammer on many of his signature moves. Dick Lane had receivers everywhere second-guessing their life choices, and he totally earned his rep as one of the original hardest hitters in the NFL. Number 5, Brian Dawkins. Cruising in at the number 5 spot is none other than Brian Dawkins, the safety legend from the Eagles and Broncos. They called him Weapon X, and let me tell you folks, he was like a missile on the field, always looking to bring the boom. Despite being all cool and chill off the field, Dawkins flipped the switch on and turned into this explosive force between the lines. Now, rewind the clock back to when the NFL was just starting to shake things up with the rules during his time. Dawkins got a highlight reel that basically is a collection of his hits that would get him in trouble nowadays, fines and all. His timing was compared to none, and any receiver thinking that they could stroll through his zone got a reality check. Ask Algie Crumpler. Dawkins basically folded him like a taco in the NFC Championship game, and it's not just about the hits either. Dawkins was a jack of all trades, grabbing 37 picks and forcing 36 fumbles in his career, but what really set him apart was that intimidation factor, hands down. Brian Dawkins is still the flag bearer for the safeties with elite hitting abilities, no doubt about it. Number 4, Dick Butkus. All right, we're throwing it back to old school classic town with number 4, Dick Butkus. This guy was a straight up wrecking ball in the middle for the Chicago Bears defense. He had savage instincts and a vibe that could just give you chills. Offensive players hated going up against Butkus because they knew it was gonna be a seriously rough day. Butkus wasn't playing games. He had his ruthless attitude, always on the lookout to lay the hammer down on anybody with the ball or anyone who just tried to mess with him. His no-nonsense, tough-as-nails style was basically the Bears' trademark in the day. Butkus had his talent going for him, with forced fumbles, snatching balls away with some serious power, and of course, his non-stop hustle and bone-shaking hits. That's what made Butkus one of the scariest defensive beats in NFL history. Number 3, Lawrence Taylor. All right, let's talk about number 3 on our list with a legend, Lawrence Taylor, the Giants linebacker, aka LT. This guy was a total freak of nature. He's basically the original blueprint for what a badass edge rusher is. With his crazy speed, no backing down attitude, quarterbacks hated facing him, but guess what? Running backs and receivers weren't catching a break either. He'd smack them down too. LT threw out so many massive hits in his time, I bet some of them wouldn't get him in trouble in today's NFL. He played with this hardcore intensity and toughness that you just don't see on an everyday basis. Even when they tried to gang up on him with double or even triple teams, Taylor still found a way to mess up quarterbacks' plans, and on the off chance that he wasn't scoring sacks, he was making sure everybody felt his vibe by crushing whoever dared to hold the ball. For his insane mix of speed, power, and all-out aggression, LT's grabbing that cool number 3 on our list. Number 2, Ronnie Lott. All right, check it out. Sliding into the second spot, we got Ronnie Lott, the beast of a safety from the 49ers. This dude was part of the 4 Super Bowl winning teams in San Fran. Lott played like a maniac, throwing his body around and dishing out epic hits to anybody in his way. Receivers, running backs, you name it. Now, here is the wild part. This guy literally chopped off the tip of his pinky just to stay in the game. I mean, talk about commitment, right? That move tells you that he's ready to do whatever it takes to keep the party going. Lott had this in-your-face style of play that had offensive players shaking in their cleats. He was the enforcer in the 49ers defense during the 80s and early 90s, giving a reality check to anybody dumb enough to cross in the middle. For his never-ending hustle and bone-rattling hits, Ronnie Lott is grabbing that sweet number 2 spot. Lastly, number 1, Ray Lewis. And topping off our list at number 1 is none other than Ray Lewis, the dude who owned the defensive scene and had everyone shaking in their cleats. Leading the charge for the Ravens, Lewis brought the heat with his crazy hits and downright fierce style play. He was an absolute heat-seeking missile on the field. capable of devastating hits from sideline to sideline. With his crazy mix of size, speed, and pure grit, Lewis was like a blur in the enemy's territory, wrecking running backs and quarterbacks like it was his day job. His energy and passion rubbed off on everybody, making them play with the same no-fear attitude. Lewis didn't hold back, punishing anyone with the ball and making receivers regret catching passes over the middle. Even when he got a little bit older, he was still out there like a missile on a mission, aiming for those game-changing hits. Ray Lewis is the guy for middle linebackers, and he's holding that number one spot for the right reasons. His highlight reel of bone-crushing hits is a showstopper, and when it comes to dishing out pain on the field, Ray Lewis is hands down the toughest hitter in NFL history. All right, everybody, that wraps up the picks for the top 10 hardest hitters in history. Let me know in the comment section what you think, or is there a guy that I missed or maybe should have ranked higher? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.